YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back. Today we got the top 32 NFL linebackers for the 2022 season. We've been going over these player rankings like crazy. There's a whole playlist full of them on the channel. Next we'll do corners and safeties as well. We'll start ranking units. We'll rank all the offenses 1 through 32. Same with the defenses. So a lot to get to before the season. Full NFL coverage here. Join us, like, subscribe to notifications on. Follow us on Twitter. Super followers on Twitter get bonus rankings, bonus content, especially during the season there. So link down below for anything you're looking for. Here's our Twitter. You guys are kind of playing along, ranking these linebackers. Some NFL news, Garoppolo news today, Derwin James Chargers news, and maybe a potential extension coming. We're always talking with you guys on Twitter there, so you're missing out if you're not following. Top 32 linebackers predicting the upcoming season. There's still those people that don't understand that. They probably skimmed through the video, but you see a rookie like Devin Lloyd already in here. That's because we're predicting the upcoming season. 49ers, tough to rank some of those linebackers. Not named Fred Warner, pretty easy to rank him. But yeah, Dre Greenlaw, fantastic linebacker, but always has the injury concerns. And you see the strides that Azeez Al-Shaair has made, especially last year, really stepped up for them. So could continue to improve it as long as he continues to get those reps. So I had to rank him in here. Bobby Okereke from the Colts, plays alongside Darius Leonard, obviously, has been getting better and better. You know, had some big-time impact plays, especially last year as well. He comes in at 31. Yeah, I got a rookie at 30. I think Devin Lloyd, I probably was higher on Devin Lloyd than maybe anybody, you know, when it came to the pre-draft, NFL draft. I like how he fits with the Jaguars' new defense. They're going to use him at linebacker, but they also could blitz him and rush him off the edge. He should be pretty productive very early on in his career here. So I'm looking forward to watching Devin Lloyd in that defense, which I really think he's going to mesh well with, you know, Trayvon Walker, these other guys that are different positions but also versatile, where it kind of works out. Giants linebacker who we didn't really get to see play much last year, Blake Martinez, who's a pretty efficient tackler, obviously. And so excited to see him healthy and in that Don Martindale defense there. So he comes in at 29. 28, it's going to be a new Vikings night. It's going to be weird for the Vikings. They're running the 3-4. They were running that Zimmer defense for so long, but running the 3-4. Jordan Hicks goes with the Cardinals to the Vikings. He's been a tackle machine. Hasn't been super flashy, but he gets the job done and run support. And again, pretty efficient tackler. So excited to watch what is a new look Vikings defense, sorta. Him and Eric Kendricks. CJ Mosley at 27. Maybe not once the same as what he was, but now we're starting to see him a little healthier, and that's good. So he's picking it up again. Racked up the tackles last year. Patrick Queen, who's been a little inconsistent throughout his young career so far, but one of these days he's really going to break out, get going. I think he's a fantastic blitzer. If they need him to do that, they might be blitzing less going forward. But it's kind of okay that Patrick Queen's, you know, not a top tier linebacker yet. Or when he first was at LSU, he came in as a running back, so he kind of really didn't get going until that last year, and not even. You know, if you remember watching that film, that LSU year, that last year, he was a totally different linebacker from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. So he really got going the second half of that year. So he's still kind of a raw prospect in a way. Nick Bolton had a fantastic rookie season last year. All kinds of impact. Was a playmaker last year. All kinds of crazy plays. So he was a lot better than expected. More of a role as the season went on. He'll get that role this year. So let's see if he can continue to make those big-time plays. It looks like the Chiefs found themselves another one there. He comes in at 25. 24, David Long Jr., linebacker of the Titans, has been kind of sneaky good, you know, kind of an under-the-radar, underrated player perhaps for the Tennessee Titans and that stout defense, especially down the stretch last year. And he's still got that upside, you know, just came out of West Virginia a few years ago. So, we'll see what the Titans defense can continue where they left off. The Steelers, new linebacker, Myles Jack, tricky one to rank. Because I'm more of a Myles Jack being in a 4-3, playing 4-3 outside. I think he hasn't been playing as well. He probably hasn't been playing like a top 32, maybe barely a top 32 linebacker recently. You know, more of that inside linebacker role. But the Steelers do run a 3-4, so it's not that 4-3 like I wanted. But I'm confident he can step up a little bit. I keep thinking, you know, Mike Tomlin's a defensive genius. He develops players well. I keep thinking that. Then again, their linebackers they've been a little underwhelming recently, so I'm kind of back and forth on that. But we're kind of going to bank on Myles Jack kind of playing a little bit better this year, maybe playing like he did when he first came in the league, which I thought was much better than recently. So we'll see. Jerome Baker at 22 for the Dolphins. Been pretty consistent for them. They kind of used him in the blitz a bit in the past, but they kind of did more of the safeties in the blitz last year. So looking forward to see if they kind of continue, because that defense was getting pretty damn nasty last year. So and they had a pretty good draft pick in Tyndall to kind of pair with Baker a little bit better, so maybe they can get some more out of Baker. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, who had a fantastic rookie year. Another one of those guys, maybe a little inconsistent for it's okay because he's a young player, but because he's a little bit better in coverage or on third down. But they started playing him more and more, not just on the later downs, early in the year they did that. So he can continue to improve. I mean, he had a fantastic rookie year there, and the Browns obviously stole him last year in the draft. Top 20, Jordyn Brooks of the Seahawks. Yeah, this could be that year where he steps up a little bit. Don't know if he's been quite a top 32 linebacker yet. He's been racking up some tackles, but Bobby Wagner gone definitely helps out, in my opinion, Jordyn Brooks, because he kind of needs to play that Bobby Wagner role. That's why I liked Brooks a lot out of Texas Tech. It was a little confused when the Seahawks took him because it's the same exact, he's not Bobby Wagner, but he's like the same exact style position as Bobby Wagner. So it was a little interesting. So Brooks should start to take off now, kind of continue to climb. Could be a near future top 10. Deion Jones at 19 is kind of that example of when scheme change, and you see it a lot actually with linebackers. Scheme change kind of hurts linebackers a little bit, and all of a sudden they, what happened to that guy? Deion Jones did not play that well last year, or when we've seen him. And maybe Dean P said something like, "We're gonna get the full Falcons defense this year," so maybe that can help him out a little bit. But he doesn't seem as good as when he was first with Atlanta. I don't know, to me, but the talent's definitely in there for sure. So maybe a little bit better this year. It's just that scheme change. Maybe you can be better off finding a different, kind of going back to more of that 4-3 base look where he was before. But we will see what happens with him. But he's got the talent. He got all the talent in the world. Denzel Perryman, who's a tackling machine there with the Raiders, had a fantastic year last year. Not super flashy. Going to make runs, be very good in run support. Make the tackles, sure tackler. Not going to miss a whole lot, obviously. But yeah, he had a fantastic year last year. I think something similar to the same. He's gonna rack up the tackles. Foy Aluokun, who was on the Falcons, now with the Jags, was one of their big time signings there. He's been getting better, been super flashy too, making some impact plays, but also racking up the tackles as well. So kind of doing a bit of everything there. So we'll see how he is away from the Falcons. I like what the Jaguars are putting together, how they're gonna run that defense. So I think he should be fine there. Next up, number 16, I got Isaiah SIMMONS, who really, based on what he's done, probably hasn't been quite there. I don't think anybody else would probably rank him in the top 16 right now, but predicting this year, I think he takes that next leap. It almost is like he barely played a couple years ago. His first year, they kind of got him going second half of the year. Last year, he stepped up, played a little bit more, and had some impact plays in there. He's just got so much talent that I think he kind of gets going here soon, and the Cardinals kind of figure out more ways to use him. Remember the Cardinals, they lost some, a guy like Chandler Jones, who's a different position. He's an edge rusher, but that may open things up to use SIMMONS more like Clemson did, maybe more like how the Cowboys use Micah Parsons a little bit, maybe something a little similar, rush him a little bit more. So maybe more production for SIMMONS. Tremaine Edmonds at 15, who I still think has upside when he came in out of Virginia Tech. He was kind of a raw prospect, one for the future. So I think he can have a breakout year this year. For the Bills, and we see two Bills on the slide too. Logan Wilson had a fantastic year last year. He's way ahead of schedule on what he's supposed to be. Fantastic in coverage, was crucial for that Bengals defense because they had some linebacker troubles feels like for quite a while, but Logan Wilson definitely helped that out for sure. So I'm excited to watch him grow further here. Matt Milano at 13, I think, as long as he's on the field, because he's had some injuries here and there, but as long as he's on the field, extremely consistent. You know what you're going to get from Matt Milano, consistent supporting the run and against the pass there. He's at 13. 12, SHAQ Thompson. I think SHAQ Thompson's kind of underrated. I thought he had a great year last year, probably better than what people realize because he was he was a key piece. He moved around a bit, especially pre-snap. It really threw off opposing offenses, and it kind of opened up things for the blitz, the pass rush, even him blitzing. We know he's pretty solid in coverage. I mean, back when he was coming out, it was like, is this guy going to be a safety? Like some people thought that. But the league changed, I think, perfectly for him. So SHAQ Thompson, a key piece, more important than people realize that Panthers defense. Zach Cunningham at 11 of the Titans. I still can't believe the Texans just let him go. They chose scheme over a great player. Before 2 years ago, he was insane for the Texans, and then he was kind of a little more quiet there, but the scheme changed and changed everything there. And the Titans got him for free, basically, and he was outstanding for that Titans defense. Right when they got him, it felt like the Titans defense already kind of felt like it was getting better. But when they got him and they got him playing a little bit more and more, I mean, the Titans defense, the way they ended things they were very good. So Cunningham was fantastic for them. Devondre Campbell at 10, which kind of came out of nowhere last year. I mean, that he's really only had one really good year. He's had some okay years, but he's still at the Packers. They beefed up that defense even further, so you'd like to think he could be a top 10 linebacker again. It just really came out of nowhere. Roquan Smith's definitely a tough one to rank. He comes in at number 9, and he's tough because of the scheme change here. You see that all the time at linebackers. Like, what happened to this guy? Scheme change ends up being the thing. It just happens with linebackers the most. I don't really, I think too many teams choosing scheme over player. But the Bears still got Roquan Smith, who's a very good young player, and I would definitely have ranked higher if he was still in the same scheme because there wouldn't be any risk. I'd feel a lot more confident about him and taking that next step even further because he's already been great. But I do wonder, kind of going to that 4-3, I mean, there's a chance he could continue to get even better. Is he like a Darius Leonard type impact with Eberflus there? I mean, I guess that's... Can't just say that just because he's got the same coach, but so I'm curious how it's going to work. He kind of just always felt like a 3-4 inside to me, and he won't be playing that. He'll be playing that 4-3, obviously, but as you can tell, we should go without saying, I have him in the top 10, so I don't think he'll struggle switching. It's just I feel a little more comfortable ranking him higher if he was in that same scheme. So I'm curious to watch there, but I'm sure he'll be very solid because he is very solid still. So I do have him in the top 10 still. A reminder, Super Follow is now available on Twitter. Exclusive content, bonus content, especially with these videos rolling out. We have bonus rankings. So for the linebackers, I do something different for all of them. For the linebackers, I decided to do future. There's a lot of good young guys, and we'll even include guys that'll be in the future drafts. How it'll look, 5 to 10 years from now. I did that with the tight ends as well. It's pretty fun. And we have trade scenarios on there for our super followers. So a lot more to come too, including possibly bonus videos during the season. So appreciate anyone who signed up there. We're on the top 8 linebackers. Lavonte David comes in at 8. He's been very consistent for the Buccaneers. Earlier in his career, we saw how good he was, but he kept getting injured. So it's very good to see him stay healthy. And he's in his 30s. A couple of these guys we're going to talk about are Eric Kendricks. Another solid year last year. I do think he was a little better maybe the previous couple years, except last year he really got going in the blitz game, so maybe he's adding something a little bit more to his game there, so maybe that's something to watch out for. Maybe they get creative because they do have Zadarius Smith in there who that's a guy that helps you get even more creative. So we'll see. New look Vikings defense, I'm very curious. I can see Kendricks finishing. It's one of those guys I can see finishing as number 1, the best linebacker in the year, or around 7, 8, 9, around that range as well. Devin White at 6. Everyone's split on Devin White. He kind of had a down year last year. He's a little inconsistent, maybe too high of a motor. I like Devin White, though. I kind of go back to 2 years ago, and he was so good that year, especially down the stretch, in the playoffs, in the Super Bowl. And I'm maybe bold, but I'm kind of banking on that Devin White kind of coming back out. Well, maybe not even fully, because if that Devin White comes back out, I think he's easily top 5. So I put Devin White at 6. I'm a believer here with him. Demario Davis, Mr. Consistent of the Saints, comes in at number 5, kind of a do-it-all type guy for them. And it feels like, they got their, they lost Sean Payton, but they got their defensive guy as the head coach, and Dennis Allen, and they're really built. I think that defense may look even stronger right now because they got some young pass rushers that could be stepping up. They got Onyemata full-time. He was suspended last year. They added some DBs. They lost Marcus Williams, but I think that secondary is looking actually looks better to me. Tyrann Mathieu is it for one obvious reason, even though he's not the same style position safety as Marcus Williams, but Marcus May, big Alontae Taylor guy. So the Saints defense could be even better, led by Demario Davis, which he could be, even though he's up there and was he going to be 33, he could be the same or even better, which is scary. So I got him at number 5. Top 4, though, I'm going to go Bobby Wagner at 4. I was back and forth with Bobby Wagner because first it's a lot different for him. That Seahawks defense, he's so used to that role, to the Rams defense, which a lot of times the Rams will throw one linebacker out there. We actually see that a bit from them. You got to cover a lot of ground. So that's where I was like probably not going to rank him at 4, but change of scenery, knowing that there's a legit shot at a title here. And on top of that, the Rams, even though those linebackers could have big responsibility, or the one that's in there, or the 2 that's in there for them, they've never had really the greatest ones. And I always thought the Rams made them look better than what they're supposed to be. So thinking like that, I'm like, all right, Bobby Wagner actually might be playing better this year. So I put Bobby Wagner at 4. The top 3 was pretty damn clear to me. Like, these were going to be the top 3 guys, for me at least. Fred Warner is just continuing to improve, flashy. It almost feels like he changed the prototype in a way, not just him, but the prototype linebacker that teams are looking for, which is fantastic. High motor guy, sideline to sideline, very fun to watch. Very good in coverage as well. Got Darius Leonard at number 2. A little bit different defense. Eberflus, who I loved as defensive coordinator, gone. But there's not really much change going for the linebackers, at least, going to Gus Bradley. There'll be change for the secondary, and then maybe how they generate pass rush. But Darius Leonard is really, it's different, but it's really not going to be rocket science for him. So I still expect him to be a top-tier guy, could be that number 1 guy, such a big impact player. I got to go Micah Parsons at number 1, who you also can rank with the edge rushers because he's a very good edge rusher for really not playing the position much. They would line him up at Penn State, him there at Penn State here and there. They would blitz him more often than line him up at the edge. But, you could see he had it in him. We talked about that pre-draft. But he played a little bit more off-ball linebacker than edge last year, so I ranked him with the linebackers. That could change this year. He could play way more edge. He could play a little bit more edge. He could play way more linebacker. So it's just good to mix it up. He's just super productive. And I was extremely high in Parsons. I know a lot of people were. I had him a elite grade, top defensive player in that draft, but even I did not think he was going to be as good as he was in year 1. And I think anyone else that had the same or similar grade as me on him pre-draft did not think he's going to be as good as he was last year. So he's only going to get better. He's only learning right now. Like, he's still learning. Like, you can see that as he's making plays. Like, he's still getting it together. So it's scary, very scary. So I had to go Micah Parsons 1. And some may rank him with the edge. I can't really disagree with that if you do. Because that's where a lot of his production comes from, even though he's a very good off-ball linebacker. But I think he played like 51 or 52% somewhere in there snaps at off-ball linebacker. So therefore, I felt a little better put him at a linebacker. But just a unique player. And I talk about like the prototype, body type, speed of Fred Warner kind of changed how teams, even Darius Leonard, guys like that, changed how teams look at when they draft linebackers, what type of linebacker we're looking for. Parsons and his versatility and the play style, the freakiness may have changed it as well. Teams may be drafting more versatile players a little higher. I kind of noticed that too in this last draft, or even the Parsons draft too. So some of these linebackers are really changing the game. The way the linebackers really changed, maybe more than any position over the last. I mean, you can look at the last 3 years, last 5 years, last 10 years, that they're just so much different than they used to be. It's a lot of it is speed. It's really of a speed era, which is pretty entertaining in my opinion. But yeah, those are my linebacker rankings. Again, super followers get those bonus rankings. I'm going to do future linebacker rankings. Felt like doing that because a lot of young guys that are down the list that I think will really get up there in the near future, and we'll include guys that are even in college in that. So that'll be a lot of fun. Join us on there at Godos NFL, link down below. Join us here on the channel. Like, subscribe to notifications on full NFL coverage here. It'll be much appreciated if you can help us out and join us. That is going to do it for this one, though. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.